Hello, Jennifer. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you, Harry?
Good. Yes, yes, brilliant. How's the weather over there where you are? It's
You know what? It's a little chilly, which you'll laugh because in England it's not going to be
yeah,
cold. But for us, it's a little chilly. It was
yeah.
like 49 degrees when I woke up this morning. So
Okay. I'm not 100% sure what that translates to in Celsius. It's always
it's like
baffled me.
a balmy day for you, probably.
Okay, yeah, yeah. We're probably t-shirts over here. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Not here,
Brilliant.
like we've got sweaters and scarves and whatever. But yeah.
Fantastic. So, yeah, Jennifer, are you okay to just sort of give me and the listeners, viewers, whichever they might be, a bit of a run through of what you do on a day-to-day basis? I know we had a little brief discussion before, but just for everybody at home.
Sure thing. I work at an independent school in Orlando, Florida, and I work with teachers that are pre-K to 12th grade. So we have kids as young as 4 years old and as old as 18 or 19 years old. And I help the teachers put more technology into their classroom in a intentional way
Okay.
that makes learning more engaging for everybody.
Okay, so just to give me a bit of insight then. So what kind of tools are we talking about here? So could you give us some
Oh, it could
examples? I
be
know it's probably a
anything.
vast amount of tools that you use.
Yeah, it could be anything from like a how to use the iPad with my 4-year-olds,
Okay.
right? Like teaching them how to use the iPad is a big one, how to hold it, how to open it.
Yeah, yeah.
To with the 12th graders, helping them on a tool like maybe a Wakelet or something like that that can
Mhm.
help them build a resume or a portfolio.
Wow.
Um,
So
we work with Edpuzzle a lot, where teachers can put some videos out there for the kids, and then the kids answer questions based on the video.
right, I see.
And we are slowly moving into, cautiously but excitedly, moving into some AI tools for our students as well.
Fantastic. Is that just sort of starting off with Chat GPT and that sort of thing, or is it more guidelined and
We are very big on student data privacy and making
Mhm.
sure that stuff is not getting out there that doesn't need to be out there.
Of
We
course.
do have a small group of students using ChatGPT in their
Mhm.
English classes.
Okay,
Those
all
are
right.
much
That's
older students. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So that's great because I know in a lot of situations in a lot of schools it's just cut off now. Like it's
No, we are, because we're an independent school, we're very lucky that we can kind of blaze our own trail as long as we're doing
fantastic,
it in a safe and secure way. So we
safe,
have, like I
safe
said,
and
a
secure.
small group
Yeah.
using that. We have quite a few students from grades 7 to 12 using some of the AI imagery
Okay.
makers like Adobe Firefly and
Fantastic.
the Canva Magic Studio
Right.
image
Okay.
creators. So we have that, and then our math department and our no, world language department with the high school students are piloting a tool called Snorkel,
Okay. You know
which
what? I'm not familiar myself.
it's pretty cool. So it's an AI, and the student does the math problem like on
Okay.
paper, and you write it out. It's kind, like we're a MacBook school, so it's hard for the student to write the math on the MacBook,
Yeah.
but they do it because it's not about what's written on the paper. It's about then they have to verbalize what they wrote.
Oh, okay.
So
They're
the
taking
the
it one step
AI,
further.
mhm,
Right,
the
right.
AI is taking the what they have written and then hearing the audio description of what it is and giving feedback on that. So it's been tremendous in math. Well, I used to teach math, so it's easier for me to
Hmm.
explain that.
Yeah.
So when they write out all their 10,000 steps to get to, A plus B equals C or whatever,
Hmm.
if when they're writing the steps, if they carried the one, but out loud, they forgot to say they carried the one, then the AI catches that and,
Wow.
gives them feedback that, hey, you missed a step.
So it's
So
it's
it's really
really
cool.
yeah,
Mm,
yeah. I mean that's so it's not just it's making sure that they actually have an understanding of what they're doing as well. So
yes.
it's giving it that extra dimension. Right.
Yes, because it goes back to that old adage, if you can teach it, then
Hmm.
you really own that information. And so that is
Yeah.
working really well with some of our high school kids. in both math and world language. They're both using it for that auditory processing. It's so cool.
Fantastic. So have you had quite a positive reception from the students as well? Or
Yeah, so
yeah,
far it's
yeah,
going pretty cool.
brilliant. That's fantastic. I think it's you know it it's I say this, I'll probably end up repeating myself to the people to the listeners, but it's always seems like at the moment that that's the best way, rather than it being demonized, just sort of like soft entry, like understand what you're dealing with and understand the parameters of where you can go with it and what information you should be feeding it. That's ultimately introducing in some capacity.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
we like I said, we're very blessed to not be afraid of it.
Yeah.
We're embracing it and trying to figure
Hmm.
out how it's going to help us change education in a really positive way.
Hmm.
Last week, I had the privilege of not only attending but presenting at FETC conference here in
Okay.
Orlando, big educational technology conference. And one of the sessions that I presented on was about how AI can be used as a research tool in the classroom. And
Right.
I partnered with one of our librarians, and we talked about how we're doing that and teaching that critical thinking skill and that prompt engineering to help them really refine how it can be used as another, Wikipedia or
Hmm.
more reliable research tool to because it's out there, right?
Yeah.
Like work smarter, not harder.
Absolutely, and if we get the prompts right as well, it'll be better than Wikipedia, more reliable than
Right,
Wikipedia.
exactly.
Yeah, I hope. I mean,
Exactly.
that it's obviously got its hallucinations and things like that, where its limitations. But yeah, no, that's fantastic. So, Jennifer, could you tell me how you landed into the role you're in right now? So, how did you get there? Can I
Uh,
have a bit of
it's
a bit of a pathway?
Yeah,
Is
it's been quite a journey. I am in my 25th or 26th year in education, somewhere
Wow,
in that,
okay,
yeah, somewhere in that range. And I started out teaching middle school math, which then
right.
turned into middle school science, which turned into a reading specialist. And I transitioned all of that into more of a learning specialist in another independent school, working with
Mhm.
middle schoolers. And when I was working with the middle schoolers that were struggling, I realized that the best way I could help them at the school I was at was to help their teachers change some things to make
Okay.
it better for all the students.
So going to the source
Yep, go to the
instead of
source. And so I started finding my love and passion for professional development, professional learning through
fantastic.
that. And then it transitioned into a love of all things ed tech, going with that
Mhm.
whole, work smarter, not harder. These
Yeah.
tools are out here. Let's use them to help students be more successful.
Mhm.
And then I left the student side of it altogether and focused on that, how you can help the teacher piece.
Okay, right. So it's yeah, like as you say, going straight to the source with it. So
Mhm.
so how long have you been doing that specifically, going to the teachers and doing it?
I've been in professional learning about 15 years and then
Okay.
just ed tech specific for the last, I'd say, 4.
Okay, okay. So when did you really start looking at things AI related? When did that kind of sort of come about? Has that just been in the last maybe year or so?
I'd say it was probably November of 22 when everybody
Yeah,
else did.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really I mean, it's always been around in some sort of way, I suppose, as long as technology's been around. And I think
Yeah.
people think it's a very, very a brand new thing that's just come out since ChatGPT came out and these large language models. But no, it's been there for quite some time.
It's been there for a while, and when we present to parents at our school about how AI is used in schools, and at our school in particular, we broke down a little piece of the timeline for the parents, and
Oh,
we brought
really?
up things,
Okay.
yeah, we brought up things that they'd probably been using forever and not really thought about,
Mhm.
like your social media algorithms
Yeah.
and the Grammarly that's on the computer that helps you with your predictive text and your
Yeah.
misspellings and things like that. And when you break it down, then people are like, oh, it really is out there. Yeah, it
Yeah,
has been for
yeah,
a while.
absolutely. Siri, we've had that since 20,
Hmm.
so I don't know how long when that came out, maybe 2013 or something like that. I'm
I
not
know
sure.
it feels like forever. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's been quite a while. So just to go on that, and obviously it's great that you give them the parents a breakdown of sort of that it's perhaps not something to be quite afraid of. Do
Yeah.
you do you feel that there is some sort of skepticism, some sort of fear from the parents that you speak to, or is it generally quite a positive outlook that most people have?
I think that we are blessed because of the type of student and parent that we're dealing with as an independent school where our parents choose to send their kid here and pay
Okay.
money versus the public school system where, education is free. I think that we are blessed because these parents have a little bit more resources on their own.
Yeah.
So they've heard things, they've probably tried it in their own world, but there is definitely some skepticism
Yeah.
that comes from they don't want the AI to do the work for children.
Hmm.
They still
Yeah,
want the
of
children to
course.
do the work, right? Because people look at ChatGPT and some of those other ones as ways to cheat the system.
Yeah.
And that's, yes, there are always going to be people who are going to do that, but they
Hmm.
would have done it with or without ChatGPT, right? Like
Absolutely. Yeah,
that,
yeah.
it just, that one is just a more prevalent way to do it. But it's not about what the negativity brings. It's about how this can really be such a transformative tool to help everybody.
Yeah, of course, especially, I mean, the best way to go about that is to introduce it to them and give them full information rather than saying it's not going to be used and we're not going to use it when the rest of
Right.
the world are and they're going to hear about it one way or another. So it's like it's sort of they either use it with uh, permission and guidance or use it
Yes.
without. And one of
Yes,
them,
right. You teach them how. Like, it's an over exaggerated example, but it's like the calculator,
yeah,
right? When the calculator came out, they thought, "Oh no, we can't do that. That's crazy talk. People need to learn how to do the math." But now we all walk around with a calculator in our pocket. Or when
yeah,
Google and email
mhm,
came out, same thing,
absolutely.
right? Like it's just another disruptor, and this one is going to have a positive impact, I think.
Yeah, no, so yeah, it's always a question I ask. Do you see it as a positive? I mean,
Mhm.
obviously, as someone who's very much in the ed tech circuit, yourself, it's. I'd be surprised if you said no, but is it something that you think is going to have a positive impact on education and on the world? Because I know that a lot of people have fears that it's going to take jobs and it's going to sort of shift things in like you say, disrupt things, but perhaps not in a positive way. Do you believe it's got more of a positive
I think it's going to be a positive. I think it's going to be scary for sure
Mhm.
because it is moving so quickly.
Yeah.
And the school system in particular are notoriously slow decision makers.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think that's going to cause some problems, right? Because
Hmm.
we are going to be slow to embrace it. And then because AI is moving so quickly and they are putting it into things that are going to be used like all the time, I think that the laws that are going to regulate it are going to need to be like serious and they're going to have to go quickly and lawmakers don't move quickly. Like
No.
I think there's going to be some challenges that way, but overall I think it's going to be amazing and I think it's going to put education into a good space,
Hmm.
especially here in the United States.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So let's put a time. I'll put a bit of a question out there. So if you were to take a guess, it's a very hard question to ask, and I don't expect to answer. Sorry, and I don't expect you to give me some very specific answer. But if you were to look at education specifically in 5 years from now, how do you see it looking? Involving the AI realm.
I think that here we are since the world broke in 2020 and everything became so much more transparent in some
Hmm.
ways. I think that even leading up to that, though, education here has been kind of stagnant
Hmm.
and it needed something to kind of force a shakeup. And I think that this is going to be it. We've had a lot
Okay.
of issues in education with helping students succeed, with learning issues and behavioral, social, emotional, all
Hmm.
of that. And it has come to light since the pandemic that these are topics that need to be addressed. And I think that AI is not only one way to help those be addressed, but to push those decisions to go faster.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. So do you think that the pandemic and the the lockdowns and everything like that, do you think that that almost maybe forced the hand of this to happen? Do you think that this is holds some responsibility for the perhaps the speed up? Because I think everyone it came as a bit, well, to a lot of people it came as quite a shock when how quickly AI moved in in sense of the large language models and Chat GPT. I'll just say Chat GPT. Yes, that's that, the open AI. Um, do you think that if the pandemic hadn't have happened, perhaps it would have been a little bit slower to come to?
No, I think it still probably would have come out a lot faster, but I don't know if it would have been embraced as much
Okay, interesting.
because in my world, in the ed tech world, we embrace technology hardcore once
Yeah.
the world broke and everybody had to redo what they were doing in a different way.
Hmm.
And then that momentum stayed through the 21-22 school year. But when we
Okay.
got into 22-23, and now we're in 23-24 school year, things kind of went backwards a little bit. And so I
Right.
think that fast moving November of 22 with the open AI and the chat GPT, and it kept going and going and going. And now everybody's releasing something that has AI in it. I
Yeah.
think that opened the door for those to be more accepted.
Okay. I think that's a very good point. The fact that it's in everything in some way. That's where I think that's what's going to become really interesting about it. I mean, everything that I'm looking at the moment, every app that I go onto, it's got a feature of it where you can involve the AI.
Yes.
I've got this on my wrist. It's called a Whoop strap, and that's basically it's like a Fitbit, but
Mm-hmm.
and that has on the app that has an AI section in it. So it's the AI coach. So it tells
Yes,
you about your sleeping patterns, your heart rate, and this and that, and how you can go about things that are better. And it's very, very quick. It's very and
it
it's
is, and it's moving very fast. When I was at FETC last week, I was talking with my friends who work over at Quizzes, another ed tech tool, and they were talking and really promoting the fact that over the last month or whatever, they had added an AI element to theirs, and it because it does the work for you. it's
mm,
it's so nice when you're trying to make something for students and you don't have to think about X, Y, and Z. It does
yeah.
it for you and creates some questions that then you can go back and edit to streamline a little bit. It's so nice to have that all built in. But at the same time, you know, I look at my friends that are in these ed tech worlds and they're putting so much time and energy into putting the AIs into their tools
Mhm.
that now everybody has it. So they have to find yet another way to make their tools stand out.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think it's if everything's got AI, then it's you're probably a little bit behind in some places. Where I very much work in the sort of education technology sector. We have quite a few different things that we work with. You might have seen on LinkedIn. Quite a
Mm-hmm.
few different projects that we have. And we're starting to involve AI in a lot of them now. And it's just getting really, really impressive as well. It's sort of giving everything an extra layer and an optional one as well. It's not something
Mm-hmm.
that's being forced upon everyone. It's something that's there if you want to use it. But it'll be interesting over the next 12 to 18 months to see if how many people use it and how many
Yes.
people use these features. Um, do you think it's gonna do you think the pinnacle of it is when it all sort of combines? Because in my head I've always, when I discuss with my colleagues and what have you, we talk about when everything, so your phone is connected to your house, and everything is starting to piece together slowly in some way or another. But I think when it all becomes one,
Yeah.
that's gonna be.
Yeah, I look forward to that world.
Hmm.
I laugh because especially over the last month or so, the Jetsons meme has been out there, from the old Jetsons cartoon where they correctly guessed about Zoom conferencing and robotic assistants at your house, like vacuums and things like that. Like they correctly guessed that from an old cartoon in like the 70s and 80s or whatever, whenever the Jetsons were popular. And it all came to fruition.
Hmm.
I giggle because over the weekend I saw lots of commercials for Verizon advertising their phone deal.
Okay.
And if you had the latest, if you wanted to make a Verizon switch over or whatever, they'd give you the latest Samsung phone. I'm an iPhone user, so I don't know, but it was like the
Yeah.
latest Samsung, and they kept promoting with AI. And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
but really, your phone's already got some of that in there. Like, do you
Yeah.
need to say that out loud?
Just a little name drop to try and bump the
Right? Like,
marketing
it
up.
was just, it's wild.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is crazy. So, would you be able to just give, so I always like to ask the question because I like the podcast to be informative to people who are
Mhm.
quite, perhaps not that up on the AI circuit. I think it's, that's becoming quite rare, but for the people who perhaps need to hear some words from somebody who uses it, who works within a school, who uses it like yourself. Would you be able to give some words of advice? Do you have any sort of things that from the top of your head? I know you've probably got lots, but just to give us a couple, if you could. Jennifer.
When I talk to my parents or I talk to my tech hesitant teachers, that's what I call them,
Mhm.
tech hesitant.
Okay.
I like to tell them that they need to go and play with it. You know,
Yeah.
don't worry about playing with it for your students or anything
Hmm.
like that, or your children. If you're a parent, just go familiarize yourself with it.
Hmm.
If you're a working parent, then we've all had to struggle with writing an email or taking tone out of something.
Hmm.
And so what I like to do with my parents is tell them, go and write your thing when you're irritated or you want to spout off at your boss or another coworker or whatever.
Hmm.
Write your email and then put that email into the OpenAI or ChatGPT or whatever. Have it take the tone out and see
Hmm.
how fast that goes. Right? It's
Yeah.
low stakes. It's something that everybody's probably had to do at some point in their life, and
Yeah.
then it's it makes it less scary. With my teachers, I have them put in, if they're like a kindergarten teacher or a second grade teacher or fourth grade teacher, I'm like, have it write a dad joke, right? Everybody loves a good dad joke.
Yeah.
And there are some great teacher tools that are specific for educators
Hmm.
that have that already built in, and they can personalize it to a subject matter or a grade level, and it writes a joke for them in like 3 clicks. And it's pretty awesome. And that's very low stakes. And then it gives everybody a laugh because everybody loves a good bad dad joke.
Yeah, everybody. I couldn't agree more. Well, Jennifer, thank you very much for joining me
Yeah, thanks.
today. Yeah, do you have any sort of social media that you'd like to put out there and tell everybody to go and follow that you'd like to
Yeah,
give?
sure. I am on LinkedIn at Jennifer Hencken. I'm on Instagram at Jen Hencken, and it'll always be Twitter to me.
It's hard.
Twitter, X, whatever. Yeah.
I can't. It's been what, nearly a year, I think now, something ridiculous like that, and I still can't. I can't get my head around
No,
it.
it's always going to be Twitter to me.
Brilliant, fantastic. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jennifer.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been great to speak with you. All right, thank you.
Thank you.